Hello guys and welcome back to a different type of video, and today I'm going to be telling you my tips and tricks on how to beat Thinking Space by Hideki. Alright, let's get this started. I'm on a start position, by the way, just because I don't really want to use quite a lot of attempts on my main footage because I'm a pussy. Anyway, starting right now, 0%, probably the most place you're going to die either way. It's not actually that hard. You just kind of like hold and hope that you get past. Once you get past, the rest of this straight fight is honestly pretty easy. I say that while dying, so like it's very easy. Oh shit. 1, 2, 3 for once. But for that part here, instead of like doing a lot of clicks, you do a 1, 2, 3. So I'll kind of show it again. You can see on like clicking the 1, 2, 3. This is kind of like a holding. This is for only one of the 3 coins. I'm not going to be getting all the 3 coins, only the second coin, which is important because if you want to get all the 3 coins this video, it's not really going to be for you. There's still a lot of tips and tricks that will help, but it's not going to completely be getting all 3 coins. Anyway, that's besides the point. Kind of the same, when you're going down, by the way, when you're going down this way here, kind of do the same thing, 1, 2, 3. Then this is just a straight fly, and then you hold. And this is what I'm saying about getting the 3 coins. This strategy holds all the way up. Oh shit. After you've hit this orb, or even if you don't hit this orb, you want to go all the way up. You can see sometimes I miss the coin, not the coin, the orb, but it doesn't actually matter because you can still get up to the same place. I'm just showing you a couple times, and then just go down like that. It's simple. If you quickly turn off this and go on the hitboxes, this spike right here is actually facing this diagonally, it's not straight, which means you've got more space to go through here, as all of this, even though it looks like it has a hitbox, it actually doesn't. It's pretty cool decoration if you think about it, because it's not a hitbox. Anyway, so it's like you just hold, go down, simple. This ship part should be pretty easy, you have a lot of space, and then we get to the first bullshit part of the level. What happened there is what we call RNG. Sometimes your ship will actually clip inside this block and you will die. This is because Hideki, and I'm going to say Hideki a lot because I said it on the stream, but Hideki can't make good decoration, as in he added alpha triggers to this part, and sometimes what the alpha triggers would do was that it would let you clip and you die. Of course, there we go. I don't know if you saw that, but the ship clipped inside, even though it looks like that this is just a complete like hitbox. You can see here, this is where I died, and you clip inside, which is very annoying, and you will die there quite a bit. It's not nice, but the good news about it is that, okay, there's a pretty easy solution. I'm sucking ass though. So after you've done this, after you've done the ship part, just do a mini tap on the stool and you should line up with the pink pod here. Some people completely miss this and like straight fly along. I don't really recommend doing that just because you're adding difficulty to a part that's just like, if you clip here, just say that you blame Hideki and move on with your life. That's pretty much it. Let's do a mini tap. There we go. And then this rest of the ship part's pretty easy. You want to hold here. Easy straight fly, hold, and then some people hold into this part. You don't really need to do that. That's not. You can if you want to, but it's pretty easy if you just you just tap. Just tap a bit late on the orb than you usually to, otherwise you hit the spike. But after you tap, pretty easy. That's not really that difficult. Now we get to probably one of the most You can actually speed hack this down to 0.6 to show you this part looks very difficult, but in reality it's pretty easy. Every orb that you do is most likely a buffer. So if we actually go back, 1, 2, I'm buffering every single time. It looks very weird because all the blocks are moving and stuff, but in reality you're just buffering every time. So if you go without the speed hack and do the same thing, you're just buffering everyone. You're going to buffer everyone here. You just buffer those 4, you buffer these 4. But that next one is now a bit difficult. We're going to speed hack the third part of it. So you buffer this one, but when you get into this one, you actually don't want to... Oh, I forgot to buffer. 1 sec. So buffer. Then when you get to here, you actually want to just hold. You want to hold, so not only do you buffer this, but you also jump here. If you don't jump, you go into these monsters' big, fat mouth, as you can see here. So, instead of that, you want to buffer... Oh, oops, the zoom mod is killing me. You want to buffer here, but don't let go too late, and then jump, and then hit here. I jumped a bit late, so this just goes like so. Just buffer. You kind of want to buffer when you see the warp portal. I'll just show you again. 1, 2, buffer on the warp portal, and then buffer this orb as quickly as you can. So that was with speed hack, so it makes it a bit easier. But without speed hack, there you go. Like this part is not that hard. Buffer the orb. Oh, I forgot to tap. Tap, easy. And then this one here, even though there's 4 orbs, I want you to hit 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. It's a 5, even though 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 is not a 5 click. I want you to pretend like it is a 5 click, and it makes it easier. I'm saying it's a 5 click because there's 5 orbs. There you go. 3, 4, 1. Oh my god, I suck ass. There you go. You kind of want to put a bit more effort. That's definitely the hardest one. I was kind of sucking ass the last one, but as long as you pretty much like buffer each one, you should be fine. Now this is when we get to the part. Instead of going up like that, I'll actually turn off hitboxes. I want you guys to go down and hit the key pretty much. This is where the second key comes into use to get the second coin. And this is why I want all of you guys to get the second coin, because this is actually really easy. You have a lot of space to get this coin, right? Now, one thing you're going to get used to thinking space is there's a lot of invisible portals. This is an invisible wave, mini wave, and this is now a normal wave. So make sure that, I mean, it takes some time, but you'll eventually learn where it is at all times. And then after this is more like a wave section. I'm not really going to explain how you do this because it's like very skill based. This is more like a consistency pace. Although one thing I will say for this one is that when you reach this portal here, just to go up here, do 2 clicks. That's so go up 1, 2. Sometimes you might get a bit too hard to hit the spike, but most of the time you will be fine. How am I doing so bad? There we go. Jesus Christ. I'm actually like really bad at this fucking game. Holy shit. So all this wave is like a completely just consistency part. I haven't played this level in like 3 weeks. Really like something else. Do 2 clicks here. Make sure you hold this for a bit longer, because when you go down, sometimes you could die here from hitting this portal if you go too low. So just make sure that you hold a bit longer. And this part with the orbs, you want to do this, and then this is like normal. When you hit the wave portal, everything's normal here, but as soon as you hit the warp portal, suddenly your clicks need to be much quicker. So notice like I'm taking my time, but then I go quickly after I hit the warp portal. This is maximize consistency. And then, I don't know if you saw, but so we go after hit the wave, massive consistency, tap tap, tap tap, hold. Tap tap, hold. And then you get to, in my opinion, one of the most consistent parts of Thinking Space and one of the easiest parts. Every time you hear is pretty much a hold. Hold, 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 hold. Hold, 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 hold. Most of these times are like a hold. This timing here can be pretty difficult because of the speed change, but it's actually pretty easy once you get the hang of it. Just practice that little tap. This wave is pretty easy. Buffer these 2. Do not buffer too quickly, otherwise you might jump here, but buffer these 2. And then you get to the UFO pattern. Unless you're trying to get the 3rd coin, the UFO pattern's a bit different. What I do is 1 2 1 2 3, 1 2 1 2 3. I'll do it in slow motion. I'm also going to put it on hitboxes because you can see there's random portals pretty much. So let me go back. Buffer, 1 2 1 2 3. Oh, I went too quick. 1 2 buffer there. 1 2 1 2 3. Here is you can't see it, but it's actually a blue portal. So you want to not tap over here, otherwise you die. That's not good. You want to tap just beyond, and then you're fine. Then we get to not a very difficult part. Obviously, I'm not going to be getting the key. I think you guys should know this. The key's for the third coin or whatever. I don't know, but I'm not getting the key. Then you just do an easy tap, 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 and then do 2 clicks on the orbs here to set up for the swing copter. To be honest, this part's pretty easy. It can be quite confusing because there are random change of speeds, but when you get used to it, it's really not that difficult. And now you get to the swing copter. The swing copter is actually not that bad. It's actually not that hard. You have a lot of space. Just make sure that you want the ball to go upwards when you exit the swing copter. Actually, I went upwards too early. Let's just go again. 1 2 3 4, and you're going upwards. The reason why this is important, I'm actually going to slow this down to 2.5 times speed. No, not 2.5. No, 2.5. There we go. Is that the ball will then come down, so you're perfectly aligning with this orb here, the press, to then line up with this wave. Because if you look at hitboxes, there are random as pink orbs. You don't want to hit any of the pink orbs. You want to hit this orb here. And then we get to probably the hardest part of the level. One of the hardest parts, I'm sure every Thinking Space Victor knows what I'm going to be talking about, is the 68% wave to 72. The 68 to 72 wave, or should I say 68 to 70 specifically, the 4 clicks are crazy. Because sometimes you could miss this, as you can see here, I just missed the mini portal. That's not really a big deal. The hardest thing about it is the fact that after you need to time it specifically, you line down and do 1 mini tap to get into the rotation. Obviously this is in 2.5 times speed, so it looks piss easy. So I'm going to go back to no speed tap. How the part works, I'm actually going to turn off hitboxes, is that you want to do 2 taps and then 1 long tap, and you want to specifically aim it so that your wave is almost touching this part of the spike, but it's not touching it, obviously, otherwise you die. So tap, 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 whoop, tap, tap, tap. That's bad. Like that here. If you try and aim for this, it's actually sometimes you could just as you can see here, your wave can just completely pass this part. But most of the time, you're not going to hit the spike coming upwards, you're going to hit it coming downwards. Same with this spike. Most of the time, you're going to hit it upwards, but not downwards. So the aim is to try and hit it somewhere in the middle. You actually have quite a lot of space, as you think. As you can see, I'm doing it almost every time. It's not that hard, you just kind of aim into the middle. And then you do 1 mini tap to get into, whoops, 1 2 1, and then you do 1, oh for God's sake, I hit the wrong button. There you go, and then you do 1 mini tap to get into the next part, which is the wave spam. And the main thing with the wave spam is that I will say is that you do not need alternating. It's actually pretty easy spam. You have a lot of time, so you can see I'm not even spamming that much. Even without speed hack, it's actually not that difficult to actually do. And now this is when getting the second coin becomes useful, because after you've done the spam here, this coin perfectly aligns for a click pattern known as the coin pattern, where by going up and getting this coin, oh that's way too high, going up and barely getting this coin, as you can see here, Now, so you're going to put this at 2.5 times speed because the changes are so quick. Getting this coin here, you don't need to do an extra click for this part as you go straight down without needing to hit these spikes by getting the coin, pretty much. Obviously, you can do this timing without getting the coin, but the coins there is more like a visual thing, as you know you're going to get the coin. If you get the coin, you've pretty much got that timing right. So if you go here, go up, hit the coin, you're not going to die to these two spikes. And then all you got to do is, after you get the coin, do one click. Unfortunately, this click, actually, let me go to normal. So one click there, one click to enter this, to exit, and to enter the ship. After that one click. So let's just go back a tiny bit and do the entire wave 272. So tap, tap, hold, tap. A little bit of alternating, tap, tap, like that. When I said alternating, I meant just like clicking, tap, tap, pretty much. Tap to get the coin, and tap again, and barely miss the spike. Being these guys, it's not fixed. It's the other way around. Imagine the spike was here. It's not fixed. Hitboxes. So you can go a bit further than you think. And then Hideki made these lines here, so you perfectly align with the wave every time. So don't worry about transitions and stuff like that. Next, now it's just a one tap. Just do one here. You can do two, but just do one. So you can see here, every time it's just one. Alright? After you've done the one, this is when the level gets, this is when the RNG click, as I call it, comes. You're going to hit a speed portal, which obviously you don't see because game. And with this speed portal, you want to time it so you're parallelly hitting this red part, okay? The red part's in part of this white like layering. You want to aim it around about here. It's a very tight timing. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because if you barely hit that spike, you're going to go all the way through, as you can see here. And then you kind of come down about here. I've extended too much, so I'm going to die. Wow, that's actually perfect. I thought I was hitting too hard. So you kind of want to like, you see this dot here, you kind of want to go a bit to the right of it. So like, you time it like that, bit of the red dot, like that. But sometimes, as you can see, that happens, that you actually do get the right timing. But thanks to the fact that Hideki is a great creator, the lines don't stand out all the way. So sometimes you might just die to the middle of the invisible line that you can't even see. So a bit to the right like that. Then this is just a straight fly. Obviously this is at 0.25 times speed. So let me do the wave click. Let me do this click. As you can see here, this is one of the hardest clicks in the level. Like, this is not like something you're going to get a lot. But by time, you'll get a bit more consistent at it. You're just trying to aim it so you're around about here when you release. Use this as like a visual to kind of time it pretty much. And as long as you can get it once every like 5 times, you should be fine in practice. Obviously, playing for normal mode is a bit different. Alright, there we go. Did I? Oh, for God's sake, I'm going to put a checkpoint down. Alright, there we go. Next, obviously, now this is just a straight fly. This is a very easy straight fly. Like, the spikes are actually going down the way, and even though there's mini like changes, like for a mini ship, it's like pretty easy. You don't need to worry about that. And then you get to probably the most interesting thing about the level. Actually, let me go back down a bit. So, easy ship wave. There's a random there's no hitbox for it, but like it's kind of one of those like weird portals things. And here is a wave portal. Okay, when you hit it, hold. That's all you need to do. Hold. But it's one of those things that it can be difficult. And sometimes you could do a double tap like this. It's pretty much up to preference. You can do a double tap, or you can just do it one. The problem is that, yeah, as you can see, it's very difficult to do it one, which is why I do a 1-2, which kind of links to the sound of the song. So you do it twice. I prefer twice, but you can do it once if you want to. You can do the sound of the song, do do, like that pretty much. Now we get to these clicks are pretty difficult, although what I will say is that try and hit them late, but the last one, you want to try and buffer it as much as you can. So you late, so it's a late buffer. Late buffer. Late buffer. Obviously you don't want to buffer too much. Actually, I don't think it's even a buffer, holy shit. I think you just hit them late, bro. And then this robot jump is pretty hard, but luckily it's not fixed, so you got a bit of leadway, and this orb is pretty easy. Then you get to this part here, tap, 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 like that, tap, tap, tap. Very light clicks here. Tap, 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 tap. Then in deck he has lots of mini like invisible game modes. This is now a ball which you can't see. You do tap, so you just do tap, tap, tap. Mini pink orbs, you just want to press twice. One here and twice there, that'll be fine. 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. And then you get to the ship. Kind of do a straight fly, then after you've hit, you do a straight fly. This is not a 3 times portal, this is a 1 times, don't get baited. Then you hit this orb once, and then you quickly do 2 clicks here when hitting this orb here. 1, 1, 2. So I'll do this thing, you do 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. Kind of like that. Do 1, 1, 2, hold, and then with this orb here, you're going to be upside down, so just like accept it. Be upside down, and then this part is completely like trying to spam as much as you can. The control spam like that. That's not much, not really much I can say there. That's more like a spam. If you spam really hard, then that part's like really easy. And then with this dual part, it's pretty weird, but you hold for the first click to get the ship all the way down up to where it needs to go, and you do 2 taps, 2 taps. So hold 2 taps, 2 taps. That's how I do it. Hold 2 taps, 2 taps, like that. So hold 2 taps, 2 taps. And with the 2 taps, try and line it so the cube actually is really close to the spike with the 2 taps. Because if you do it too early, the cube's going to die to this spike here. But you really want to be, your eyes are mostly focusing on the ship, because it's sort of like a straight fly, not really. And then you get to this part. This part, at first glance, looks so confusing, but I promise you, this looks really easy. I'm actually going to put it to 0.25 to understand why. First thing you want to do is just hold like all the way until the ship hits this block. Do not click. Do not look at the ship. Apart from that, do not look at the ship at all, and now just focus on the cube when you've done that. So as soon as you hold the ship all the way to hit this, even if it hits this cube, as long as the ship is landing at this cube here, it can go there, it can go there, it's not a big deal. Now focus on the cube. Tap. And every tap that you do, by the way, from the cube is a light tap. Because if you hold for too long, this ship might move a bit and it might hit these cubes here. There are invisible upside down portals, which makes the ship impossible to die as long as you don't like tap the button too hard. So hold like that, a little tap, 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 and then a mini tap there. So just a mini tap there, you're going to be mini, and then just a tap, 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 tap. Obviously this part is in 0.2.5 speed, but this is like a massive choke point. Let's do the entire dual part from start. So you can see, hold, tap, 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 tap. Hold, so hold, tap. So look at the ship, now look at the cube. Tap, 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 tap. So hold, tap. Sometimes that could happen, that means that you went a bit too late, that's okay. So I'm gonna hold, mini tap, 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 tap. Hold, tap, 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 tap. Hold, tap, tap, tap. And then we get to this wave part here, and this wave part is one of the choke points, and in my opinion, 88% to 91% is the hardest 3% in any level that I've played anyway. You can't, because of this wave portal, you have to jump. You can't just let the wave go down. You have to jump like that. A little tap, and then tap, 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 tap. And the thing is that I'm not going to really say too much, but what I will say is that, as you can see from the hitbox, you can actually barely miss, even if you think you're going to hit this part of the block, you actually won't, because you'll hit the hitbox first. But to be completely honest, like, this is one of the hardest parts of the level, and it's one of those big choke points. So I'm not really going to tell you too many tips and tricks about it, except for the fact that practice this a lot. It's a one-click input, so it's a 1-1, but 1 hold, obviously you release there. This is one of those massive choke points that's one of those things that you just got to practice a lot, and then you will get it. Even like I'm struggling a bit, and I've been in this level. Now we get to a tiny break, but not really. There's another invisible portal here, which I'm using hitbox for. Time your jump so you're barely just missing this circle. You'll just hit it every time, and then you do 3 buffers. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then that's pretty easy. And then we get to probably the hardest part of the levels. 1, 2, 3. There we go. I'm going to go to 0.25 speed here specifically, because there's a pretty big pattern that you have to do. As soon as you get into this cube, you want to hold like that. So it looks like, so the wave is, so as soon as you enter the cube, hold. Don't do it too early like that. Wait a bit and then hold. The reason why you're doing this is because when you hold, let go like that, you can see these hitboxes are smaller because they're not spikes. If you do 1 tap, you only have to do 1 tap here to then get into the UFO portal. So hold and then tap to get into the UFO portal. Obviously that tap was not that big, so it'll be quite a long tap, but then it gets pretty easy. Right, it's like, so just 1 hold and 1 tap. Now let's do it in 0.2, not in 0.25 speed, but long speed. So it's just without hitboxes. So we go tap, 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 tap. You can see, instead of like spamming your wave into the middle, I find it inconsistent. Just a hold and a tap. Hold and a tap. Yeah, this is like really bad sometimes there, but trust me, as long as you hold for long enough, it becomes really consistent. You just do one of the holds, hold, tap, like that, and most of the time, when I say most of the time, I say all the time, you will pass this spike and get into UFO portal at a good consistency rate, I would say. And now we get to, as you've noticed that if I look on hitboxes, this looks like a mess, but it looks fine here. That's because you want to tap here and there's random pink holes. You want to click 2 of them and then do another mini tap when you hit this wave portal here. So, wow. Tap, 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 tap. So you go 1, 1, 2, 1. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. 1, 1, 2, 1. The last click is important, otherwise you're just going to die from there, so you do that. And then we get to that wave is one of the most hardest waves in the entire game, because it's so tight, bro. Like, it's, you can see on the hitbox how big your hitbox is and see how tight that wave is. This is one of the hardest waves in the entire game, I would say, in terms of like extended list pretty much. And what I'm going to say is that I've said this in my completion video, but you will die at 91%. Once, twice, I don't know. It's very difficult to fluke that wave, this wave specifically, because of how tight it is. my best help that I will give is I'm going to 2.53, but try and not think about extending it. Most of the time, you're going to die because you don't extend that much. So you're not going to extend it, so go a bit longer than you might think you're going. I promise you, it's very unlikely that you're going to be extending like that death. That death never really happens. Most of the time, your deaths are going to be because you don't extend as much. So extend a bit more than you think. Kind of aim at, I guess, those type of spikes here. That's where you want to enter. Obviously, I am using the fat wave, so if you're not using the fat wave, it might be a bit of a different timing for you. But try and aim it so you're extending it more than you think. I'm extending a bit more, and I'm extending a bit more. How it doesn't look like Jesus Christ. There we go. Like, you're trying to extend more than you think, but trust me, there's only many tips I can give you for this, because this is just like such a massive choke point that's really difficult to do. But luckily, after you've done this, there's not many big chokes. This wave part here is pretty easy, even though it's mini wave. You actually have a lot of space, as you might think, because these spikes don't kill you, it's the structure that does. You actually have a lot of space than you think. Make sure that when you exit this, you do a mini click, otherwise you're just going to die here. So do a mini click, and then one click here to set up for this orb. Very important that you, after you've done, kind of do 2 clicks. Click, click, like that. It's pretty important to click here. Obviously, if you were going for the 3rd coin, the coin would appear here. I am not going for the 3rd coin. Because, I mean, coins in the big 25 extreme demon coins, who cares anyway. Now this part here is it's actually not that hard. Just do a late click for the pink orb, then kind of late click so you pass it without hitting this block. This is one of those like easy timings that I think you guys could do. Pretty easy time, I'll say. After you click, you kind of do a late orb tap here. It's going to be much more difficult because there's a pink jump orb which increases your velocity. You do pretty much a late jump, and you won't, very unlikely that you'll hit here. Then it's kind of the same thing. You do kind of hit the pink orb in the middle, not the pink orb, the blue orb in the middle. It's very unlikely that you're going to hit this spike here, even sure without hitboxes quickly. As you can see, even though I'm clicking pretty early, it's pretty hard to actually hit this spike. This spike is meaningless. It's this spike you need to worry about. Anyway, after you've hit the... Oops, that's a bad checkpoint. After you've hit this orb, this is when buffers come into play. Tap, tap, buff. Tap, 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 buffer, buffer. Tap, 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 buffer, buffer. Tap, 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 buffer, buffer. You buffer these two, you don't buffer this one. Okay, because you actually want to jump, you don't want to hit this orb. You hit these 2 orbs, but then, so you buffer these 2 orbs, you don't jump this one, okay? So, tap, 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 buffer, buffer. Tap, 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 buffer, buffer. I'll do that a couple more times. Tap, 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 buffer, buffer. Buffer 2, tap, oops, tap, 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 buffer, buffer. Tap, tap, and you just like, buffer, buffer, and you just hold. And then we get to, so actually before we get to the last jump, I'll just do everything up to there. So tap, late hit, tap, 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 buffer. Honestly, this part's really not that difficult. You shouldn't really be dying there. I mean, I say that, it's very possible, because you're nervous. And then we get to the last jump, this jump right here. Now what I just did, I wouldn't advise you to do. Instead, I would do the Hindeki method. The reason why I say that is because you're using the word Hindeki as a visual timing. What I want you to do is jump when your cube is barely touching the H and the I. And that's when I want you to hold. There we go, that's a better checkpoint. Soon as your cube barely hits the H and the I want you guys to start holding. Now, it looks like I suck ass, which I do, but as long as you barely hit the H, between the H and the I, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. When the cube is barely touching this, that's when I want you guys to start holding. When the cube is barely touching there, and the orb, and then you'll do the jump pretty easily. The reason why I'm telling you to do this because I think it's the most consistent, because it's a visual cue, and because you're holding it, your cube actually jumps higher than a normal jump, so there's more room for error. And there you go, 94 to 100 on thinking space, really not that difficult. So, what's the take from this? What is the take from this? And it's pretty simple. All those tips and tricks that I've shown you, well, they will help you on the level. Realistically, it's your own effort that needs to take part as well. Just because you know these tricks doesn't mean you can beat the level in a couple of days as a new hardest. I'm afraid that's not how thinking space works. And it's not really how any level works at this part of the stage of the game if you're thinking about being a top 105 currently. Thinking space is just one of those levels that you have to grind out, and eventually, once you get consistent at the 40% wave, realistically every attempt should be to 68. You can see here how many times I died at the 68 to 69 wave alone, but trust me, once you get past 91%, just at one time, I think you'd be able to do it.